Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you the most common mistake in English, which is articles, and I forget them, I omit them because I'm originally from Russia, and in Russia we don't have articles. It's easier for Germans because you guys have articles. Italians have articles. By the way, let me know in comments below what language is your native language and whether you have articles or not, because if you do, it's easier for you. But again, there are two articles, a and the. And when we use a, we use it to talk about objects that we encounter for the first time in our speech, for the first time in this conversation. And when we use the, we mean something specific. So let's start with the first rule. Something specific is always the. For example, Marina, where did you get the dress that you wore yesterday? This is a very specific dress. I only have one dress, and I'm pretty sure she means the dress that I was wearing yesterday, and that was the specific white dress, whatever. So this is a very specific thing. But if I'm asking somebody, can you get me a dress when you go shopping? I'm not asking for a particular dress. I just need a dress, and whatever dress you can find that suits me, just get it. So could you get me a dress when you go shopping? So see the differences? In the first example, with the specific dress I wore yesterday, I meant the dress that I wore yesterday. When I'm asking to buy a random dress, this is a dress. Another thing to remember, we only use a when we talk about single objects. We cannot say a dresses. This is wrong. Don't do that. But if a word starts with a vowel, A, E, O, U, okay, you know vowels, right? We replace A with N. An apple, an eggplant, an elephant. Another general rule is when you talk about something for the first time, you say a. When you mention it in your conversation for the second time, you use the. For example, yesterday I went to a party. I mentioned it for the first time, but in the second sentence, I would say the party was amazing, because I've already stated that I will be talking about a specific party, and in the second sentence I'm referring to that specific party, so it's the party now, okay? Or another example, yesterday I bought an apple, you know, just a random apple. That apple turned out to be rotten, so I'm taking it back to the store today, okay? So first, I'm not mentioning a particular apple. I just bought an apple. Doesn't matter which apple. Doesn't matter if it's big, doesn't matter if it's small, just an apple. But then when I'm talking that it's rotten, I already mean that apple, that it's in my fridge, so the apple, okay? However, if we're talking about an object that is one of a kind, we always use the. The moon, the sun, the Black Sea, the Simpsons. So we know that there is only one moon. That's why we always say the moon. We know that there is one sun, so say the sun. Again, we only know that there's just one family. When we're talking about, we know that we're talking about the Simpsons, right? This is the movie. So whenever it's something one of a kind, it's the. Uncountable nouns. What are uncountable nouns? Porridge, oatmeal, milk. Whatever you cannot count, because when we're talking about porridge, you cannot really count all the C's that are there. And when we're talking about milk, you cannot really count the cells. Yes, you can measure volume, but that's different. We're talking about counting. So uncountable nouns means you cannot count them, right? So with uncountable nouns, we don't use any articles. It's always, I like oatmeal. Can you get me some oatmeal? Can you make some porridge for breakfast? Use some, right? Can I have some milk? I drank milk for breakfast. The only way you would be able to count milk is by adding glasses. So can you give me a glass of milk? And then you have this a, okay? But this a refers to glass, not to milk. And the second scenario when we don't use an article with nouns is when we have plural countable nouns. Bicycles, computers, cameras, bloggers. So whenever these words appear in a sentence, we do not use any articles. I have 3 computers at home. I like watching bloggers. I love bicycles. But why articles are so confusing? Because there are always exclusions. For example, there is a store in your house and they sell specific milk. And you want to highlight that you like the milk from that store because it's one of a kind. You really mean that milk and you cannot get it anywhere else. Then you can say, oh my god, I love the milk from that store. because you're being specific. And again, I just mentioned that with milk, we don't use any the, but we don't use any the or a when we don't mention specific milk. We just mention milk as food. But if we mean some kind of milk that is only sold in a store that's 1 block away or in your house, say the. Same applies to countable nouns in plural forms. If that shop also sells apples that you love, you can say, oh, I love the apples from that store. They are the best in the world. And people realize that you mean specific apples that are only sold there, and they're one of a kind. Okay, please remember that. And feel free, whenever you're watching this video, if it's confusing, feel free to stop. Feel free to open your exercise book, rewind the video, and write everything down again. Because I know it's super confusing, and I know even like super advanced students make mistakes in articles. So this topic is very important, it's crucial, but I'm here to help. There's a quite similar rule for abstract nouns, and when you're talking about something in general, you don't need an article. For example, information on the internet is very useful. So information is this abstract noun. You don't mean any specific information, you just mean that information that's available to everyone on the internet is very useful. But again, just to compare, when you use particular information that you received, the information that I read on Wikipedia regarding YouTube is super useful. Then you need to insert the definite article the, because you mean some specific information. But when you're talking about information in general, you don't use articles at all, okay? Never use articles with proper nouns. Tuesday, Monday, New York. You can distinguish those proper nouns by the capital letter that they start with. New York is with capital letters, Washington, D.C., Russia, London, Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, February, March. All of those nouns do not require an article. Okay, never use articles with the names of the countries. Dimitri makes this mistake all the time and I keep correcting him. Russia, France, Monaco, all of those countries do not require an article, but of course, there are exclusions to this rule. If a country's name consists of several words, the United Kingdom, because the refers to kingdom here. So the United Kingdom, the United States of America. So whenever the name consists of several nouns, you use the. Also, no articles when you speak about languages. And remember, at the beginning of this video, I asked you to write a comment below what language you speak and if you have articles in that language. So you can say, I speak French, and there is no article. I speak Russian, and there are no articles in Russian. So we don't have any article before the name of the language. And the last but not the least, when you're talking about meals, don't use articles. I've already had lunch today. I've already had breakfast. Let's head out to dinner. But again, we're just talking about non-specific meals, just stating that we had meal. But if you want to say that you are sick from the dinner you had yesterday, then you need definite article, because you mean that specific dinner where you probably ate sushi and you got food poisoning. So when you mean a specific dinner, it would probably be something in the past. You use the. That was it for me, guys. I hope it wasn't too confusing. I know it's like articles are super confusing. Feel free to rewatch the video, feel free to save it, feel free to download it or whatever and rewatch it later, because you're gonna get back to this topic over and over again, because again, there are so many exclusions to the rules that I've given you. There are so many specific situations and you just have to know about them. But thank you so much for watching this. I'm looking forward to reading your comments, and if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, the red button is below. If you're not following me on Instagram, you're missing out on daily practice of English, because I post everything in English there. It's linguamarina. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon in the next videos.